Hello everyone, welcome to another short video on solving a LeetCode problem with APL. Today we will be taking another look at problem 1603. We have solved it previously and our approach in the first video was a rather simple one, and to be completely precise, we didn't actually follow the specification of the problem, we only solved something similar. And in this video we will be taking a look at how we can take that simple solution and how to turn it into a class in APL. So how to do object-oriented programming in APL. And so if you haven't taken a look at this video and if you have no idea how to solve it, sorry, if you haven't taken a look at this problem and if you have no idea how to solve it, pause the video. You will find a link in the description for you to be able to see the first video where we actually solve the problem. In here we will take that previous solution and work with it. And so without further ado, let's open the interpreter session, and you can see that I already have in here the solution that we've written in the previous video, and now what we will be doing is packaging this up in a class. Now, this will not be an introduction to object-oriented programming, as in I won't be teaching you the concepts. So I'm assuming you know the concepts of object-oriented programming, and I will just show you how to do it in APL, so how the syntax works. So let's go ahead and create a new PS for parking system class, and we insert this circle here so that the editor knows that we want to create a class, and this creates this empty class for me. So the first thing we need to do is to store create a variable that will work as an attribute, so the inner state of the parking system. And the way you tell APL that this is a variable that belongs to the instances of this class is by tagging it with the field keyword, and then you further specify if it will be public, so available to the users and visible to the users, or private, which means that regular users of this class and of the instances wouldn't be able to access this directly. But let's make it public. And now what we need to do is to create the two functions that we actually need, which are a function to create parking systems, so instances of this class, and a function to add a car to the parking system. So the function that creates instances is what is typically referred to as the constructor, and for our simpler solution, our sort of constructor was just a function that did nothing. But now what we want is we need a function, let's call it new parking system, because it creates a new parking system. And we would want this function to receive an argument, which would be the initial state, and we would want to save it in our field. So we want to save the inner state of this parking system. But as it turns out, when you're writing classes and when you need to write constructors or to write just regular member functions, so regular methods of the class, you cannot use tradfns, which are these type of functions. You need to use tradfns. So if you want to read up on what tradfns are and how they work, I advise you to go to apl.wiki. But there's more differences than that, but it's essentially a different syntax to write functions. And you can also check the mastering dialog APL book, which has a nice section on the differences between diffns and tradfns. So, and I'll post links for this in the description. So the most basic way to turn this into a tradfn is by removing the braces and instead using these upside down triangles, which are the del characters. So this is already a tradfn, but now my argument is not omega, I have to name it. So it's going to be the state is going to be my right argument, and so I should store it in PS. Or maybe let's call them the parking slots instead of just state. So the parking slots, I should save them, and now I need to tell APL that this is actually the constructor, and for that I tag it with this keyword implements constructor. And then, because I want the constructor to be available to the general, to a generic user, I need to say that this has a public access. And now I can save this, I can fix this script, and now I can see that my class already exists. So let's go down here. See, auto-completion already wants me to create this class, and the way I create a new instance is, so an instance is going to be, let's give ourselves some more space, quad new. So this is the function we use to create instances of classes, and then the class, and then we give it the argument that we are missing, which is, let's say, 110. And now I see that I can already access the public member that we have, which is PS. So I can already access this, and I can change it if I want to. I could say, well, let's say instance PS is going to be 1, 2, 3, and then it's changed. Now what we need to do is add the addCar function here. And so the addCar function from the simpler solution was this one. So let me take that, add it in here, except that this is an extra brace. Let's fix the spacing a little bit and do that. Okay. Now, again, we want this addCar function to be visible to the users of this class, of this PS class. Maybe let me just decrement the font size a little bit. Okay. So we want this to be visible to all users, and in order to do that we need to use this access public thing, but that doesn't work with difference. So once again we need to turn this into a tradfn. So let's do that. Okay, so now this is a tradfn, but these arguments here, these are different arguments. In tradfns the arguments are named, so this omega here is actually the car type that we want to park. So instead of omega, let's have the car type there. And now this alpha in the simple solution was the state, but we do not have to carry it around because it's stored in our class. So we do PS minus that. And now, well, we don't want to return both the new state and the Boolean value. We just want to update the new state. Sorry, so update our inner state with the new state. And then we return the Boolean value. But again, in tradfns, in order to return, you actually specify the name of the variable that is holding the value that you want to return. So what this does is it assigns the Boolean value to this variable bool, and this bit of syntax right here tells APL that the addCar tradfn will return whatever is stored inside this variable. So this is us setting up the return value, and then the only thing that is missing is in ensuring that this new PS here, which is just an auxiliary variable, and it should be local because we don't want it to live outside of this function, so we need to tell the tradfn that this variable is local, because otherwise the tradfn will try to make this a non-local variable. And so you can even see here that it changed its color. So if I remove this, it changes color. And if I add it, except that I didn't copy it, so if I add it again, it's colored the same as bool or car type, because these are local variables. Now I can fix this again, and I can create a new instance of my parking system. So let's create a new with these many slots. And there's the PS. Now let me add can I add a car of type, let's say, type 1. Whoops. So I try to use this function and I give it a car type, and then it says value error undefined named car. But how is it undefined if I just defined it? Well, I did not say it was public, so I forgot this statement right here. So in a new line, I'll say access is public. Now if I fix it again, I create a new instance, and now if I type ps.add, you can see now that autocompletion already tells me that I probably want this function. And then can I add a car of type 1? Yes, I can. What are the spots that I have left? Only one there. Well, can I add a car of type, let's say, 3? No, I can't. And the parking spots remain the same. And now, can I add a car of type 2? Well, yes, I can. And then I can see that there's no spots left. Okay, so this is the most basic way you could build this solution with actual OOP in APL. So I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or if you want to submit an alternative solution, feel free to follow the link to the GitHub repository that should be in the description. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video where we solve the next problem. Bye.